Hopefully this channel is sort of becoming a celebration of the idea that it doesn't matter where you are. There's a world of opportunity and things that you can be doing that are incredibly fun and rewarding. But it depends how much timber I've got left. Timber is really, really expensive at the moment. Because that is milk kefir cheese that I've made. Whether it will make a difference to the yield, I don't know, but it certainly makes a difference to how I feel. It's just an illustration of a lot of the things that you can do in an urban environment. There's nothing going on in here at the moment that requires a huge outdoor space at all. I'm actually succession growing crops from start to finish in my kitchen. Hi guys, so it's Friday evening and I've got a full week of stuff to catch you up on, but before I do, I just want to say I've just got home with some light fittings, because I'm going to be changing the light fittings in two of our rooms, in our bedroom and the dining room. They've both got these normal pendant fittings. This one, and the one in our room, it just doesn't give enough light where we want it, so we're changing it for these two fittings. Not particularly expensive, and obviously I'm going to do the work myself, so not very expensive. So that's my job for this evening, and then I think tomorrow we'll have a whole news round, because there's loads I've been doing. Right now, as we speak, I'm making milk kefir and milk kefir cheese, which is going great. I think I've cracked it. I got my sourdough up there ready for the morning. We've got our water kefir in the fridge. We've got kombucha brewing down at the other end of the kitchen down there. I'm also curing bacon in the fridge. I've got some bacon packs. So I got this as a gift for Christmas. So I'm doing a bit of a review on these. That'll be a separate video. I'll show you a little bit of what's going on at the moment, but that'll be I'm doing a separate dedicated video on them. And I've also got my lime. So tomorrow we are going to be water glassing some eggs. We're going to be preserving some eggs in lime. So I am going to get on and do this little bit of wiring now, and I will catch up with you guys in the morning bright and early and go through everything. I've got the house to myself. Well, I still got the house to myself. Me and the children have got the house to ourselves. My wife is away for the weekend on a girls' weekend, so she's having a little break, which she thoroughly deserves, and it means I am up early with taxi duties for my son, and then we'll be doing everything else around the house. Really looking forward to it. Catch you in the morning. As promised, an early start. I'm at the Builders Merchants. I've just picked up all this timber, which is going to be new chicken houses, because the ones we've got at the moment are too big for Jackie to move on her own, and they're a struggle for us to move together. So we're making some more sort of maneuverable homes for the hens so that we can move them around the garden that little bit easier. And while I've been loading up with this wood, my son's been to the gym. So I'm now going to go and pick him up, head home, unload this wood, and then assess my plans for the day, because I'm not sure whether I'm making this. I don't think I'm making this chicken house or these chicken houses today. I think that's going to be a tomorrow job. But we'll get home and have a look at what the house looks like. So that's all the wood that I need to make the new chicken runs, the new chicken houses, and I'll probably be doing that tomorrow. But I've also got some timber there that I can build some brackets on the fence. Let me show you rather than just tell you. I'm going to build some brackets along this fence here, which I'll do today and I'll show you so you see what I mean. That's basically going to act as supports for all these climbers. That's something I'll do today using that batten, which is 38mm by 25mm. Bit bigger than I'd need, to be fair, but it's what I wanted for the chicken runs, which you'll see. So even though I'm going to do that tomorrow, they're not going to make this video. I will film the making of the new chicken arcs. Oh, also, new ceiling light. Got that done last night, and that was a bit more involved than I was expecting. So I'm going to make my sourdough now, which I'm not going to record because we did that together last week. And I'll catch up with you guys probably at lunchtime. I thought it was worth just quickly sharing my lunch, because that is milk kefir cheese that I've made, and I absolutely love it. So I'm just having that on some sourdough with some hot chili chutney I was given for Christmas. And I love this stuff. This is the first time I've tried what I've made. But when I was given my milk kefir grains on the fermenting course that I went on, we had this there, and it was just delicious, incredible. So let's see if mine compares. It's really good and I love it. So I've really been experimenting and working out the milk kefir this last week or two. And I feel like I'm there now with making this cheese, which is where I wanted to get to. So what I will do over the next few weeks, I'll do a video specifically on that, and I'll show you the whole process. So simple, so easy, anyone can do it, and it's a great product. Oh, fantastic product. That was delicious, and I'm really happy that I've figured it out. And it's the main reason that I wanted to be doing the milk kefir. So lots of people use it for lots of different things. You can use it as just regular, everything you use your milk for. You can drink it, you can make sort of yogurty type concoctions with it, put it on your breakfast cereal. But for me, it was the kefir cheese is what I was really interested in. So I'm really happy that I've got that down now. So I'm just gonna deal with this because it's been out for about 36 hours since I fed it with fresh milk. So I'm going to just do the process, and it doesn't take very long at all. So I'm just gonna strain it. And the only reason I'm doing this really is to recapture my grains. But we're going to work all of that now. So it's separated, it's sort of curds and whey, but the curds are soggy enough, if you like, that they'll go through the colander with a little bit of persuasion with a spoon. And these are the grains, the milk kefir grains. So we'll leave that little bit, almost like a starter for the next batch. And I'll probably wash this jar out every 2 or 3 batches. I'm just going to feed this. And that's it. That will start fermenting now and making our next batch. And in here, we're just going to put that in the fridge to leave that to settle. And as I say, if you're interested in the milk kefir cheese, then I'll be doing a standalone video on that in the next couple of weeks. And that will probably come out as a midweek video. Maybe a Have a Go Homesteader series video midweek. So we're going to have a few midweek videos actually coming out. Because midweek this week, I'll be releasing a video on this home curing bacon kit that I got for Christmas. And everything we do in this kit is the same as we would do without the kit if you just had some curing salts. So really simple stuff. And that reminds me, I need to turn my bacon. So in here we've got 3 lots of back bacon that we're making, and every couple of days or every day I've got to just turn them over, and these will be ready tomorrow. Just give those salts a good massage. Look, you can see the coloration of that starting to look like bacon. God, bacon's so good. Chili and garlic flavour, that one. There we go. That's our bacon done. So this is the container at the bottom of our fridge, and I use it predominantly for meat, defrosting meat. It's got a pork joint in there, which is going to be tomorrow night's dinner. I'm doing a roast dinner for my wife to come home to. We've got some diced skirt in there from quarter of a cow that we bought a year or so ago, which was raised by the same people who had our original pigs. Not sure what I'm doing with that yet. Maybe a bourguignon. And you know what? I think it's worth having a look inside my fridge, because this fridge, Dad's fridge, the homesteading fridge, because it's just an illustration of a lot of the things that you can do in an urban environment. There's nothing going on in here at the moment, I don't think. We'll go through it, but that requires a huge outdoor space at all. So we've got up here, we've got some rhubarb extract, which we use as a lemon juice replacement. There's a few things, now I'm working through it, there's a few things that are sort of holdovers from the last property. Here's one. This is some goat's cheese I've just taken out of the freezer. But, you know, we've got our milk kefir down here. We've got kombucha bottles back there. 2 lots of sauerkraut. At the bottom, we're obviously curing bacon. And in here, this is something that everyone can do. This is just saved fat from when we cook. So I know what all these are. This is pork fat. This one here is tallow. I think that's what you call it, beef fat. And over here, we've got this little jar. Can you read that? Probably not. Bacon fat. So that's my special occasion frying fat. Some apple and pear jam. These are fruits you can forage. Some more fat, some kimchi. These are nothing to do with homesteading. These are just my hot sauces I get given every birthday and Christmas. Down here, some apple cider vinegar, water kefir, some more rhubarb extract. So, you know, pretty much everything going on in here is, and some of my bacon from our pigs. So most things going on in here are things anyone can do. You can do, if you live in a flat, you definitely don't need a big space. And something else that I've started since we last spoke, and again, this is something you can do in a flat. This is something you can do in any space at all. I'm actually succession growing crops from start to finish in my kitchen. And up here on my shelves, I've got a little bag of seeds, and there are literally thousands of seeds in that little bag. But over here, we're succession growing our cress. So we've almost finished eating that one. This guy's next, then this one, then this one, then this one. And we'll sow another one tomorrow. I'm sowing every sort of 2 or 3 days because, well, one of my sons would eat all of them. Just demolish that entire pot in about 10 minutes. So I can't grow too much, but we're having a lot of egg mayonnaise sandwiches, egg mayonnaise and cress. It's, you know, the perfect marriage. So I need to water them. It's surprising how thirsty they are. But they really are the easiest thing in the world to grow. You just take any old pot, as you can see I've done, and then line it with some toilet paper, some kitchen roll, anything really, and then put water in it. And I think it just speaks to the amazing energy and potential within a seed that these don't even have access to soil. There's no compost, there's nothing. Just a bit of moisture. That's all they need. And in that tiny little seed, you can see them here starting to germinate. And in that tiny little seed is all the potential energy to make this whole plant. Isn't that, it's just incredible. They don't need any nutrients. It's all there. Everything is in there, programmed and ready to go. You just need to add water. It's like the ultimate dehydrated lunch. So it just goes to show, you know, even succession sowing, you don't need a big space for it. Next little project for me, next thing on my agenda is to preserve some eggs in lime. We're going to do something called water glassing. It's something, if you follow the podcast, I've spoke about several times, something I've never done before, but it's a really old-timey method of preservation. And the reason I'm really excited about doing it is because it allows us to preserve our eggs and to do it in such a way that we can use them as if they were fresh eggs. There's lots of ways of preserving eggs. I've spoken about them before. I've done a video on this channel all about ways of preserving eggs, but all of the ways of preserving eggs that I've currently used have been ways of preserving eggs that you can only then use them in certain applications going forward, whereas we're going to be preserving some eggs now that we're going to be able to use for up to 2 years, exactly as if they were fresh eggs. So I'm really, really excited about it. And I think that I've certainly mentioned it on the podcast. I might even have done a whole episode on this topic with Vicky Parnaby as a guest. I know she's done it, one of my patrons. Thank you, Vicky. But we are now going to be water glassing some eggs. And something else that's got me really, really excited about doing this. So I'm going to use one of my mason jars for now. Just going to do a small amount. But really they need to be kept somewhere sort of out of direct sunlight, or a cool, dark place. So we'll probably move them from these shelves. But what I'm going to be able to do is basically make my solution and put it in the jar, and then over the course of a couple of weeks, gradually add eggs to it and top it up. I don't need to save up loads of eggs to do it with. I can literally get the fresh eggs every day, the surplus eggs in here when it's full, pop it to one side, and then in November, December, when the egg production has dipped off, we just get a jar out, carry on as if nothing had happened. I'm so excited about it. It's like the quintessential cure to a homestead problem, because it's like this, if you keep chickens, you've got this weird dichotomy between, like, if you work out how many eggs I need per year to feed my family, right, great, done that. Then you get however many chickens you think you're going to need to lay that amount of eggs. All great so far. But then you've got this thing where in spring and summer, you've got more eggs than you can eat. And in the autumn and winter, you've got not enough eggs. And it's the whole thing, like I say, homesteaders will be used to this, but of dealing with gluts. Not only dealing with gluts, but, you know, talking about vegetables now, growing for gluts, specifically growing to have a glut of something so that you can eat what you need and preserve enough to get you through the rest of the year. Well, it's doing that with eggs. And yeah, it's something I've never really cracked because we've never had to. We've always had enough chickens that we've had enough eggs all year round. We always used to sell our surplus. Well, since we've moved, this is just another one of the little things that I'm getting to learn. It's fantastic. So this is going to hold our solution, and the first thing to do is to talk a little bit about the actual eggs themselves. So if you're going to do this method actually starts in the hutch. As I head into the hutch, you'll see why one of the reasons I'm having to make some different housing, because this is just a bit awkward because of the position we have to have it in. The access to get the eggs is tucked up against that wall there. So this is how we have to do it at the moment. Excuse me, love, I'm coming in. Bit of a squeeze. So the first thing to say is that you need to have your girls somewhere where they're laying eggs in a nice clean environment, nice clean bedding, so that it comes out not needing to be washed with no rubbish on the outside. Because what we need to do is use these eggs with something called the bloom still on them. These couple of eggs, look, could do with a wash. So we're going to use these. These are going to be ones that we put in our helter-skelter, in our egg spiral at the end of the kitchen. And we'll use these in the kitchen, and we'll take the ones that are properly clean and use these for preserving. And here's one from our other hens, our bigger hens. Obviously we've got our bantam eggs and our full-size chicken eggs. And the bloom is basically nature's way of doing exactly the same thing that we're going to do in here, but for a short-term period. The bloom is just what's secreted around the outside of the egg, and it basically is the reason eggs have got a shelf life of several weeks just on their own, not in the fridge. I don't care what you've heard, eggs will be really, really safe at room temperature for at least 4 weeks. That's why if you go in the supermarket, where do they keep their eggs? Not in the fridge, is it? It's just out on the shelf. So these guys here, we would normally keep them for about 4 weeks. Well, I mean, we wouldn't keep them that long because we wouldn't ever need to, but you know, that's what we would expect them to last quite comfortably, quite safely. And it's because in part of that bloom. And what we're doing is we're sort of bolstering that, because we're bolstering that membrane that stops the transfer of bacteria through the shell. And we're going to do that with our lime solution, our water glassing, call it what you will. So this is what I'm using. Calcium hydroxide. Now this is available really, really cheaply. It's available online. You can get it at Amazon. You can get it anywhere. I bought this online. I think I paid maybe £3 or £4 and I got 2 of these. I've got another one back there. For a whole litre, we need 25 grams of this. It's called slaked lime or pickling lime. But like I say, if you go for calcium hydroxide, you can't get it wrong because that's the chemical name of it. And we need, like I say, 25 grams of this to 1 litre of water. Or if you want to make smaller amounts, 5 grams of this for 200 millilitres. If you're not used to using metric measurements, you can translate that to basically 1 ounce of this to 1 quart of water. But like I say, I live in the UK, we use the metric system, so I'm going to be using millilitres and grams from here on out. So there we go, I've got 1 litre of water in there. We'll just reset the scales. And I'm going to add 25 grams of my calcium hydroxide. This can be quite caustic, so if you get it on your hands, go and wash them off. As a builder, I'm quite used to working with lime, and I have my hands in lime a fair amount, and they've built up something of a tolerance to it. So whether that's a good thing or not, you guys can be the judge, but I'm not going to worry too much about it until I finish. But now I just need to stir this in. And that's as simple as it is. I mean, you tell me, could it get any simpler than that? So what I'm going to do now, you'll notice I haven't filled it up to the top because I still want to leave room to add a few more eggs to this. And I've got more water than I needed. So we'll put that in another jar, which we can top up to make another batch in a week or so when this one's full. Put my rings on, and that's it. Preserved eggs. So I've had a couple of people contact me in various different ways, ask about the move and about how leaving all of that space behind, basically whether or not I'm kind of forcing myself to be as positive as I am. That was the crux of it. And honestly, I'm not. I mean, hopefully this channel is sort of becoming a celebration of the idea that it doesn't matter where you are. There's a world of opportunity and things that you can be doing that are incredibly fun and rewarding, because that's how I genuinely feel. So anyway, I wanted to just come out and check over my seeds that I sowed last week that you saw. Oh, and we've got a few things germinating already. Let me have a look. Yeah, that was fairly typical. So we've got the radishes are coming up first. But what else have we got? We've also got some perennial spinach, fantastic. And some dwarf peas. We've got some perennial spinach and some dwarf peas all starting to show themselves. Oh, and some of our French dwarf beans. So everything is looking really, really good. And you'll see these are the stems that we took off the side shoots that we took off the tomatoes last week. And I don't know how well you can see, but they're just starting to send out roots on the side. I'll probably leave them another week or so in that water because they're doing quite well. And the tomatoes are coming on fantastically as well. I'm seeing loads and loads of flowers, and yeah, everything looks really healthy. I mean, I've been able to really look after them. You know, by this stage normally I would have just planted them and forgotten about them. I wouldn't have done much else with them, but I've been really tending them and pinching out and all those kinds of things a couple of times a week. And whether it will make a difference to the yield, I don't know, but it certainly makes a difference to how I feel. Our cucumber plants back there are also really starting to take up now. My wife's ground cherries, one of them came back. So usually this is our second time overwintering them, and this we didn't overwinter them undercover really. So last year we brought them in the house, this year we didn't, and one of them has made it and one of them hasn't. So we'll be a bit more diligent this year, I think. But that's something else that we'll need to manage because we don't have inside space to spare for big plants. But I really want to show you this. Where we were living before, this would have been our brassicas. This would be fairly typical. And my attitude was just, well, they'll do what they do. And we'd normally get quite a small crop. But with the extra protection that we've given them, look at those guys, look at the difference. Just night and day. You can see, you know, the difference between having, for me, you know, everybody is different, but for me, the difference between needing to look after things and just really concentrate on making sure that what we do grow, like each individual plant, we get as much as we possibly can from it, has really changed a lot of what I'm doing, and it's made it so that I think we're probably going to get as much veg here as we did at the last place. I really do. Once we've got our other beds in, we're not nearly close to having enough bed yet, but yeah, I think we're comfortably going to be able to grow as much here as we did before. And I'm definitely enjoying it at least as much. It's like I've kind of done things backwards. I think most people start in a small space like this, and they probably start by learning how to micromanage 2 or 3 plants. And then perhaps they move on to larger spaces. I went the opposite way around in my journey, and I'm not saying one way is better than the other,
but they're both very different. And just, I'm now, yeah, I can see how much I've still got to learn, and I'm just loving it. I'm loving every minute of it. I really am. I'm so into it. And finding, you know, I've found there's so much to do. I'm just not even close to having gaps that I need to fill in my need to be doing, you know. I'm really not, you know, as I've already explained, you know, this week, what have we done this week, including today? So from the last video to this video, we've been sewing things, we've been growing cress in the kitchen, water kefir, we're making milk kefir cheese, which I'm kind of close to mastering. I'm playing around with some curing on bacon. I am making sourdough. I'm doing all of these things, and as well as doing DIY on the house and learning new skills there, because I've never put a light fitting in before. So it's just this amazing ride of learning new things and enjoying it and having fun at it. And then, you know, this afternoon I'm probably going to go and build those brackets and put up our supports for our peas. And then tomorrow I'll be making chicken arcs. So it's just this amazing journey of fun. And thank you all for coming along on it. I really appreciate it.
So I built these really simple brackets out of just 3 bits of wood. 1, 2, 3, and then screwed them together here. 2 more screws, and then put this piece of timber, this long piece of timber, on top and studded it with these screws. And as you can see, it runs the full length of the bed. The idea being that we can then just run some string down off of those screws, and that's what our climbers can use to grab hold of. And then I will either, see how I feel, I'll either tie a weight to the bottom, just a stone or something to each one, or I have cut, but I want to see how much timber I've got left once I've built my runs tomorrow. I could put 3 of these stakes in the ground and run another timber all the way along the bottom and basically zigzag the string like that, which I think would actually be quicker and easier than attaching them to a weight. But it depends how much timber I've got left. Timber is really, really expensive at the moment. And I didn't mind doing it for these because I think these might be something we use every year, but I won't do the bottom unless I've got some leftover timber from what I bought from the hutches. And I don't have any string. So I'm gonna ask my wife to pick some up, and then that's that job done as well. So next up for me, I'm gonna go and water all my plants, water my seedlings, and then I'm gonna settle in for a night of, it's the Champions League final tonight, and my team is playing in it. Now that's a big deal if you follow football here in Europe. It might not mean a great deal to you guys in the US. I'm fairly confident some of you guys down under will be following along. You know who you are. As you can see, and as I hope is obvious, you know, I want this channel to just be a celebration of homesteading, regardless of what position you're in, regardless of where you live, how you live. It's accessible. The whole thing is accessible to everyone. So, and hopefully that's coming across. Before I go, a couple of things that I wanted to say. First of all, I don't mention the podcast here enough. If you're new to this channel, please do check out the Self-Sufficient Hub podcast. We drop 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And the second thing is, please consider becoming a Patreon of this channel if you think that it's worth it. If you're getting that amount of value from it, that you would consider buying me a cup of coffee every month, then just consider becoming a patron. And the links for all of that is down below in the description. Right, that is it. I'm done for the day. I'll speak to you guys really soon. Like I say, there'll be a midweek video this week on the bacon curing, and then there'll be another midweek video probably next week on the milk kefir. And then what I'll do a deep dive on the water glassing of eggs in a year's time when I've had more experience with it and I can really speak to how it's worked and what we'll be doing next year. Thanks for that, guys. Speak to you really soon. Before you go, please press that like button, leave me a comment down below, and if you're not already, please subscribe to my channel. Cheers. See you.